Hello ladies, I've got another cool little Christmas project for you. Thought you might enjoy. What you're going to need is 6 4-inch squares. Now I've already done a couple of mine, so I've only got a few left to do, but I just wanted to show you 6 4-inch squares. Just basic cotton. This is Aldi fat quarter, so it's basic, cheap, cheerful cotton, any colour you like, but they must be nice and square. So we're not going to interface them. But you're going to need 6 of them. Once I've got my square, I'm going to fold it in half so that it creates a triangle, so that the right side of the fabric is on the outside, and I'm going to press that fold in place. Once I've folded, I'm then going to, I just put my finger on the fold, I take this outside corner and bring it down to the bottom corner. And then I take the other outside corner and bring it down to the bottom to create a square. I'm just going to press it again. I'm just going to move that button because I'm not going to need that just yet. So fold it in half and then fold one corner down so that it meets that bottom corner, and then the second corner down to meet that bottom corner. Then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to take the corner again and bring it into the center, and then the other corner and bring it into the center. These are little sort of origami type things. And then I'm going to press all of those folds in. You can use a bit of steam if you want to, but as you already know, my iron doesn't do steam without piddling out water, so I'm not steaming them. Once you've got those folds in place, so that's the second lot of folds on the back, you're then going to fold it in half so that those folds are completely enclosed inside, and pop a clip on. And you're going to repeat that same process for all 6 of your squares. So I'll show you another one and then I'll pause the camera until I've got all of them done, because you don't need to see me doing it 6 times. So fold it in half so that I've got the open edges at the bottom. Bring one corner down, bring the second corner down to create a square. The more accurate your folding, the better the final view will be. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering what on earth I'm making now. It's not a bag, that's for sure. Turn it over and bring one corner into the middle and the other corner into the middle. Oh, and that fabric is hot where I've just pressed it. 3rd degree burns on the fingers. Press it in place. And then once I've pressed those in place, I'm just going to fold it so that those 2 little corners are tucked away in the middle. And what you end up with is that look. So I'm going to carry on and do the others that I need to do, and then I'll come back to you and show you where we go from there. Okay, I now have my 6 little folded squares that I've created, and I've clipped them all just using a wonder clip. Now on each of these squares that you've created, you'll have one end that is all raw edges, and you can see there's a sort of an obvious point where their folds start, and I'm going to get you to just cut across those folds on all of them. Don't cut the edge where it's actually folded, you're going to cut the raw edge end. And you're just going to cut it across to create that shape. Keep your clips on, otherwise the things will all unravel. And you'll end up with lots of little tiny triangles that I have absolutely no use for at all. So if anybody can think of what they can do with those little tiny triangles, answers on a postcard please. I'm just going to get rid of those. put those on the floor, which is my go-to place to put everything. Now you're going to need a length of thread, and you all know I'm a fan of a self-threading needle, so I'm going to use my self-threading needle, and I double up the thread for this because I need it to be quite strong. So pop a knot in the end of your thread. Take one of your little pieces that you've folded, and on the end where you just made your cut, about probably 1/4 of an inch in from the end, from that flat end, and at the center, so I'm putting my needle in centrally, just pop your needle through and pull it through so that the knot sits nicely and nice and tight. You can take your clip off, then take your next one and make sure that it's facing the same way, so it's still got the front part facing the same way, and again go through about 1/4 an inch away from the cut edge centrally, and you're kind of stacking these up, so you're going to end up with a pile of them, one on top of the other. You can take your clip off, and you're just going to keep adding until you've got all 6 piled up, one on top of the other, making sure that they're all orientated the same way, so you have them all facing the same direction. Just taking my clip off. So now I have all 6 on my thread, and I'm going to just open them up to create a sort of a flower shape, and I'm going to go back through the first one where the knot is, which will hopefully draw them all round to make a flower shape. And you can kind of spread them out as you want to. Now I'm going to put a little tiny stitch from one to the next, and then from that one to the next one, and from that one to the next one, but I'm going to do it at the top, so where the folds are. So I'm hoping you can see this. It's a bit fiddly. But you need to keep that thread that you've threaded them all on together quite tight. So I'm just going to go through all of the folds on the first one that I come to. Oops, let's get my clips out of the way. And then I'm going to go all through the folds on the next one. I'm doing this right as close to the edge as I can. And then the next one, and then the next one. Actually, you can go through 2 at a time there. And then back through the last one. Then turn your flower over, and again go through all of the folds, but very close to that. So I'm literally going as close as I can to the very edge. This just holds them in place. Make sure your thread doesn't catch around your various petals. You've probably figured out here we're making a flower. These make fabulous brooches, but I'm actually making them to make myself a wreath to go in my sewing room. So you're going to go round and just through the ends of the very bottom of the folds. Each of the folds, just to hold them in place. Oops, that's caught round my petal. Once you've got them all secure, you can just pop a few stitches through to just kind of finish your stitching and secure it. Just go through my thread at the middle just to make sure it's not going anywhere, because we don't want it all to unravel, otherwise we'll just end up with lots of squares of fabric that have been ironed in a very peculiar way. Off with the thread. Ha ha ha, sound like the Queen of Hearts. And you can see what we've ended up with is a sort of a flower. And we go to the front, which is the one with the fold and no raw edges, and we just push down in the centre of each of those little petals so that the end opens up. So let me just see if I can show you close to the camera. So we just open it up and push the end of that petal in to create a nice little round petal. Going all the way round. And what you end up with is a very beautiful little flower. Now you can add more petals if you wanted to. I like 6, I think it's enough, but you can put as many as you want really, it's very much your call. I like to just sort of space them out so that they fill the gaps. I've done these where I've had 2 at the top where I've used 4-inch squares and 2 at the bottom where I've used 5.5-inch squares. 3 at the bottom, sorry, 2 at the top with 4-inch squares and 3 at the bottom with 5-inch squares, and what you end up with is something that looks a little like a pansy. If you pick your colours, you can kind of create anything. If you did these in red, they'd look a bit like poinsettia. So having opened them all up, I'm just going to pop I've popped another knot on my needle, and I'm just going to pop, I've just got a plain button, a little orange button that matches. I'm just going to pop that in the middle. You could use a self-coloured button, or even you could even cover a button in the same fabric as your flower is made of, but just a button to secure in the middle to just cover those joins. These make fabulous little brooches, great things to pop on like napkin rings on your Christmas table. They're just fun, and they're great to use scraps up, but I just thought you might like to see how they're made. And they're really simple. So just secure your button in the centre of your flower, and then I like to push my needle through to the back to finish my thread, to just knot my thread. And there we have it, one little origami flower. And you can play with the petals and make them fatter, make the little sort of bowl bits thicker if you want to. But there you go, one little fabric origami flower. It's not perfect because I haven't taken a great deal of time, but how cool is that? You could put some felt leaves behind it, do what you want with it, but I'm going to put them all over a Christmas wreath, so thought you might like to see how to make them.